Today's episode is brought to you by the British Academy of Soccer.
Looking for a soccer camp this summer for your child? We at British Academy of Soccer offer camps for children 3 to 18 years old. We offer soccer programs in Pflugerville, Round Rock and the surrounding Austin areas. Check us out at britishacademyofsoccer.org.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Liverpool Connection podcast. I'm your host Daz and I've got Steve with me today, and our special guest from the Anfield Shop is Alisha Weiss. Am I saying your last name right? Yeah, because I know sometimes people will go Weiss.
Yeah.
So Weiss, good.
My mother-in-law told me, I was like, just say Budweiser. It's like Weiss isn't Budweiser. I married into it.
That's not a bad thing.
No.
Let's get started. Anfield Shop. Why? Steve will go into that in a little bit, but I usually start out by asking, when did you, start the love affair with Liverpool Football Club?
For me, it was Istanbul. Like how in the world does something like that happen in sport? To see, Stevie waving his arms, get up, let's do this thing. And now you've got Barcelona as like a second sort of instance of that. But I remember just Istanbul had to get to Liverpool, finally made my way to Anfield in 2007. And it was right after the Athens final. So, everybody was a bit down, and I still couldn't get a stadium tour. I remember just sort of going around and peeking in and just, something about that place. And then I think I got back and read every single book that I could get my hands on. And at the time it was really kind of tricky to get merch. You're paying a lot in shipping. The selection was kind of tricky. And nowadays, the store is just incredible, but we'd still get people who want more of a American fit to their clothes and things like that. So over the years, it's just grown and grown and grown. And, it's basically the greatest job ever to run this and hang out with fans and do whatever we can for the stateside guys and girls to support the club.
Alisha, prior to 2005, were you a footy fan, or is that, can you kind of tell us how you became after that final where, we've noticed a lot of people, that was their genesis of Liverpool fandom, right? But,
right.
Were you a football fan prior to that?
So I grew up a military kid. So I never had like a hometown team or sport because we never lived anywhere longer than 3 years. But I did a study abroad in college in South Africa. And I remember going to a pub, and it was the Euro 2004. And that was the year that like Rooney killed it for England, right? He just destroyed it. And I remember being in this bar in South Africa, and the TV was like this big. And the entire bar was silent. Like, where do you ever go to a bar in the US where like people are that focused on the game? And, I think there's so many benefits. There's no timeouts. It's very fluid. As a sport, I found it so much more enjoyable to watch than I think a lot of the stateside stuff. But then it became the challenge of how do you watch it? Because, it was before streams. It was, Fox Soccer Channel. You were lucky to get a game or two a month for whoever you supported.
I think that's when you're a fan over here, is because I've spoken to a lot of Americans, and they're fans when they really delve into the television and try and find that game. Because back then obviously you didn't have NBC Sports or even like ESPN Soccer, none of that. So I think it's really good. Like, it's great to hear the stories, but 2005 is like the big fireworks show for a lot of Americans. But what a way to start your love affair with Liverpool. Coming back from 3-0 down to actually win it on penalties and just be like, that's the team for me.
Yeah.
I love it. I love these stories. They're just great. So your Anfield experience, how was it like, just walking through, the gates?
It was incredible. And I think, so much has changed, and I've only been back there once since the big stadium upgrade. But I mean, the museum at the time, you could just get so close to everything, and you could kind of see like, this is such an incredible story. It needs some amplification, I guess, to be told. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I got goosebumps. I get goosebumps every time I go, and I can't explain it. I seem to have this weird, West Ham connection. Every time I go see a match, that just happens to be who we're playing. Like the 3 times I've been there, it was so like I took my mom because left my career, started the shop, and I was like, you got to see what this is. So I took her to the Cop, and Suarez is playing, Gerrard is playing, and it was West Ham in a 0-0 draw. And I was like, I promise it's better. This was just an off game.
So
it's funny because this is one of our favorite features on this podcast, is to hear people's experiences to their first time that they go in the Cop. And, my first 2 games at Anfield, there were draws as well. But it still doesn't minimize the atmosphere. You're walking into the stadium, seeing the museum, and it's just, and you were able to bring your families. And I'm going to just assume that she probably wasn't a Liverpool supporter as much as you were at this point.
Right. Yeah. But I'll never forget the first piece of advice that we got, which was for your first match. Because my first match was on our honeymoon 10 years ago. And it was put away your phone, put away your camera, just hold up your scarf and just be present. And anybody since then, I've given them the same advice. Because, we're all camera people now. We all want to capture it. But that first time you go and when you hear that being sung, like just be present for that.
Oh, that's great advice. Well, I mean, you can take pictures, before the kickoff. You can take pictures outside and enjoy that. But yeah, when you're inside, because a lot of the locals will actually go, can you sit down so I can actually watch the match? Yeah. I actually noticed that because when I was back a couple of years ago, I did the sneaky thing where I took my phone out as well because we were playing Man United. And
that's a big one.
It was, and that's the one where Shaqiri scored twice. We won 3-1.
Nice.
But I had 2 lads just tap me on the shoulder, go, "Can you sit down, lad?" I was like, "All right." But yeah, I get it. It did bring me back to myself growing up. There was no camera phones in the stadium, and I wish they would actually ban it. To be honest, just like at concerts. It should be in here, not on there, So
I just wonder, does anybody look back to that? Do we really need those? Like you said, you get the stuff before, but during the match, I mean, but it's hard. I think, yeah.
Well,
you defend. You want to say put your phone away, but then you look back to say the Barcelona match and all the different angles of the fan cams from people that have taken their videos and that have added to the experience. So I mean, you got to take the good with the bad, right? And it's just something that 10 years ago it would never have happened because no one really had those type of phones, right?
Yeah.
But you always appreciate that when somebody's shooting from the Cop and
that's true.
And then the goal is coming in and you see the fans and then they all turn towards somebody that has their phone and they're cheering and like, yeah, this is what it's all about because it, really for us in the States and for those that have not been able to go to Anfield, this is the closest they're going to get. It's not just seeing it on TV because everybody's watching it on the TV, but it's those intimate views from the stands that are really adding to the atmosphere. And I think that really brings in some of those people that were like, I wish I could be there.
That's true.
You travel from Seattle. Seattle's a long way to get to Anfield. And, so when you were there, what else did you experience in Liverpool? Can you kind of share with us? Did you go into the pubs? Did you Because this is prior to owning the shop at this point, right?
Yeah, I was always a music fan, so I mean, it was obviously the Beatles. You got to go, do all that
Went to
stuff.
the Cavern.
Yeah, did the Cavern, and then who was it? The Best Family. That was a sort of off the beaten path. I don't know what he's doing now, but you could go into the Jacaranda and go see. This is where John Lennon painted this, and yeah, I love history, and so it was definitely doing all the Beatles stops. Trying to think what else we did. The Albert Docks. I mean, that whole area has undergone so much change, and we were there right before the capital of culture stuff. So the whole thing with Liverpool One coming in has changed all that, and it's so much fun nowadays. But yeah, every time I go, there's something new and exciting, but it's great now because we've made so many friends over the years that it's kind of like just seeing familiar faces and hanging out and getting a bite, that sort of thing.
That's always good to have friends over there.
Yeah.
Especially pub owners.
That's right.
I don't have it. Oh, you got one?
Yeah. Well, listen to today last Saturday's podcast of Paul Tremarco from the Ark.
Oh, Paul. There you go.
Yeah. See, Paul.
I met him on the honeymoon. He gave us his CD. Because I don't know if he's a.
The Christmas one.
No, it was before that. Am I not a good fan? I need the.
No, you're a great fan. You don't even have the Christmas CDs. You have a different CD from Paul.
I only thought he had one out. He's been making music on the down low.
That's right.
Okay, we're part of the Insider Club. We get
right.
The releases.
They're great for coasters.
It's great to put that on and go say, okay, now we're gonna go, listen to Mariah Carey's Christmas album after that.
Oh, so. There you
go. But yeah, he's a friend of the show. We've known Paul for a long time. So
nice.
Yeah, he's always somebody that we recommend people to go visit when they're first time to Anfield. Go visit Paul. He'll take care of you. We have, he displays all the scars from all the OLCs that visit. Nice. So he's definitely a fan of the United States contingent of Liverpool fans.
Oh, right on. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Small world.
Any listeners out there, if you go to the Arkles, you might get a free CD.
Tell them Steven sent you.
No, Alicia. Alicia first, and then Steve. No, yeah, we had him last week. It was a great podcast, and
that's cool.
And that's one of the things is so sad about this situation that we're currently in is that a lot of us would have been there this spring.
Oh yeah.
Daz had plans to go. I had a trip planned. We had a contingent going to the Chelsea match. Would have been getting the trophy.
Oh wow.
So it was, it's very sad that we're at this point, but we also know that when we are able to get back together, it's going to be a huge party.
Yeah.
And so we'll get there. So
just waiting it out. Wait till it's safe to do so.
That's right.
Yeah, I'll go missing for a while.
Yeah. Alicia, you're saying I know we were speaking before the podcast that you guys created the Anfield Shop in 2010, mm-hmm. and that was right around the same time that FSG took over. So was there any, did that have anything to do with your guys' decision to start the Anfield Shop, or you guys just said, what? So take me back, because as somebody that, I have my MBA and I have had my own business for 10 years, it's always interesting to me to see the thought processes of the creation of a company, right? So can you kind of take us back to 2010 and give us some history of the Anfield Shop?
Yeah, it was Roy Hodgson was manager, and I said this is a great time. World recession. Let's start a Liverpool shop. No, I was an engineer at Boeing. I was just going to work, working flight test stuff, and got married. And my commute went from 20 minutes a day to about 3 hours, and I did it for about a year, and became the world's grumpiest person. And I just figured there were fans like me who, I think. I've said this story a lot. Shipping was 50 pounds. Like, could you imagine spending $60 to order a ball cap?
Yeah.
And I said, even if there's, a couple hundred fans like me who just, will buy stuff, but maybe just want a better access. So I mean, I Forrest Gumped it, man. I designed the website. We did it out of our spare room. It was before we had kids. Like I said, Roy Hodgson was manager. Perfect timing. I think it was low risk, right? If it failed, it wasn't, at least I tried. But then FSG came in, and we really started seeing, okay, we're doing a lot of keychains. We're doing a lot of scarves, but how many are people going to buy of that over a year? It's really jerseys, it's really apparel. And we had the hardest time trying to talk to Adidas because we didn't have a brick and mortar store. And then when Warrior came in, that's when a lot of it started changing. So maybe a little bit more upstart, maybe a little more bootstrap. And I've had a lot of fans over the years come up to me and be like, I'm an Aston Villa fan. Let me just do exactly what you did. And it's like, we Forrest Gumped it. There's no, we did this. And then we thought, well, what about that? And the club has been so gracious and incredible over the years to just let us try. And, I hope we've repaid that trust by performing and continuously sort of repping the brand well stateside. But the addition of the licensing program was really a change for us, because then it became, okay, this needs to be a place with a brick and mortar store. We need a 3,000 square foot facility. We need more equipment. And, it has been all organic. It has been word of mouth. It has been being embraced by the fan base to really say, we like what you're doing, keep doing it. And you guys know, Liverpool fans, man, when we mess up, we'll hear about it and be better, because you guys want it to be cool and to be the best around. But we don't have a lot of dealings with FSG. They're very good about, the club is the club, and they do their thing. We've helped a little bit with some of their trips. I don't know if you've seen the trips that they've announced. I think Chelsea was the match they were going to go to. Mm-hmm. Is that right? But yeah, the Anfield box was a big thing. The club has always been great we think this could be cool, and then they just let us try. And if something fails, we fail quickly and move on. But yeah, they've been great.
Before we continue on that, I just want to take a moment to thank you guys, you and James, because you guys have been such a great supporter of not only the Austin OLSC in the past, but all the ones that are here in the United States. You guys have supported their, whatever events. And so I want to just go on record and say that you guys have been such a great partner for us. You guys have helped us promote our events. When we had John Barnes last fall, you guys were there for us, and other legends. So I just want to go on record saying, even though that this is not officially sponsored by the OLSC, this podcast, I want to say that we really thank you for all that you do for not just us, but for everyone nationwide.
Discount codes.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm not joking when I say it's the greatest job ever.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was thinking that today. I was like, if you were not employed directly by LFC, this would be a great place to be a part of. To supply. Let's say you supply happiness with the Anfield box. Everybody that gets it is like Christmas every quarter. You're like, hey, my new box, and you see the social media, and it's just like, everybody is on the same wavelength. They just want to promote the team, and it's great. But I wanted to ask you something. Like you mentioned Adidas, then you went to Warrior. Then you go to New Balance, obviously, and now we're going to Nike. Can you kind of tell us about the process, what you're thinking the differentiations between those companies are, and what you see moving forward with Nike?
Yeah, sorry, I'm only pausing because it's like I've signed so many NDAs over the years that I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah, don't get in trouble.
Warrior came in, and it was different, right? For somebody who was totally purist about Adidas, it was like, who are these guys? There you go. Yeah. But I think, they came in and, they brought their different, I don't know much about New Balance taking over Warrior. I mean, New Balance owned Warrior, so they were always part of the conversation, but I know New Balance really wanted to step into soccer and become, kind of like Under Armour, right? Under Armour came out of nowhere and then all of a sudden dominated. I think that's what they wanted to do. We were always such a weird company in dealing with New Balance because they had Celtic, they had all these other teams, and they were cool about us. Hey, all we're going to buy is Liverpool. Like, that's it. Nike era coming in, I have no idea. I'm excited by it. We're brand new members of the Nike family. Haven't seen any product in person yet. I've seen the leaked images, probably like everybody else has. A lot of the stuff we order blind. That was always how it was with New Balance. We would place our orders in September for stuff that dropped in May. Oh, wow. And some seasons we would see it. What's that? How is my connection going?
No, I think Steve's connection just went.
Oh, okay. That would be the hard part. And I think a lot of fans would be like, you don't have stock, and it'd be like, dude, a season that we finished sixth, we'd have no idea if we'd finish second, and then there'd be more demand. And so trying to balance that was always hard over the years. But, with Nike, there'll be hopefully a lot more stock, a lot more access to stuff fans want. But I thought, some of the kits in the New Balance era were fantastic. I'm excited to see what Nike brings. Poor Steve, where'd he go?
I don't know. Yeah, I see his face.
Oh, there he goes.
Yeah, he'll probably try and ring in again. Yeah, that's got to be. So what was like, with the Adidas? Was there just like issues that just?
We didn't have a brick and mortar, and that was a deal breaker. And it makes sense because at the time we were so small. So small. But yeah, no, Adidas, unless you were a brick and mortar, we couldn't. No matter how hard we knocked, we couldn't get the door open.
Oh wow, yeah, they're like my favorite actually, just because I'm a old school trainer collector.
Nice.
So I've got all the OG shoes.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm just like head to toe. I wish Liverpool would go back to Adidas.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of people kind of, just because of the history there. But, Nike didn't have a presence in the Northwest, after they lost City and United. And I think, this new generation of players are, very connected to that brand. So I'm excited to see what they do with it.
So, like, do you guys have a store now? Like
an
actual, like...
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, with the pandemic, it's closed just because, trying to keep everybody safe. But... It's a proper, we got a banner and all that good stuff. We've had it 2 years in October, and we have fans come, and it's great. And we give little tours, and some people will be like, hey, we were doing our honeymoon in Seattle and we just had to come by the shop. And it's like, it's humbling because it's like, okay, well, I hope we don't let you down.
Well, like I for me as well, like just talking about, getting stuff from the Liverpool shop, it does cost a lot of money unless you spend over like £100.
Yeah.
The shipping will be free, but not everybody is going to spend £100 because that's nearly like 150, 160.
Yeah.
So that's expensive. So, to me, you have the best shop in the States. You've obviously got, World Soccer Shop, but to me, because, they do varied teams, they don't, necessarily do everything from a key ring to the actual shirt, to the scarf, to just memorabilia like you guys do, which that's what I love. Welcome back, Steve.
Yeah.
The aliens take it.
Something like that, yeah.
I think I said everything I needed to say, so...
Okay, I have one more question then for you. As I've alluded to on other shows, that I was very fortunate to be there during Klopp's first home game in Liverpool.
Oh, nice.
So can you go back and kind of think how the store changed from pre-Klopp to now? Because I remember, I was there in May under Brendan Rodgers. Okay. And went to the Liverpool one, and there was very few things that said Brendan Rodgers on it, right?
Right.
Then go back in October, and Klopp had this whole section of merchandise.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, this whole thing has changed within 4 months. He's only been here a week. He's already has this whole section of things like, bobblehead and keychains and books. And so can you kind of recall back to that time? Like, were you guys excited? How is it like, this is gonna, here's our sales. You ever go back and say, here's our sales pre-Klopp and here's our sales post-Klopp? And
I don't know if it's him directly. It's a hard question. Liverpool flirted with him for a couple seasons, right? He was always sort of a name that we would hear. Is he going to come? But I feel like it's only been in the last year and a half, because I think he speaks better than any leader, sport regardless. Like he can connect with fans just doing regular press conferences. Don't quote me on this, but I don't think we have never been allowed to make merch with his image rights. That's never been something. And I don't know if it's because New Balance has it, or, you notice that he's always wearing New Balance stuff. Mm-hmm. But we definitely, especially the last season, we will get calls all the time. I want the hat that Jurgen's wearing. I want the jacket Jurgen's wearing. So he is definitely like commercially starting to be part of the conversation, because people just respect him and appreciate everything that he says and does. And, you hear the players talk about him. Like, they want to play for him, which is always the hardest part for any team, right? Like, can you have your guys run through a brick wall? But it was hard when you talk about product stuff once Stevie left, because then it was like, who's going to be the guy, and I think a lot of fans were unsure about Jordan over the years. And I'm so glad that, he is getting his moment, because he's done so much for the club and the community over the years, just doing stuff for the local charities. And I don't think he was appreciated nearly as much for all that. But yeah, I mean, I am here for it. Everything that Klopp says and does, I think it's fantastic. I have no idea what Nike's going to do with, merch with him or how that works. I'm totally bummed that we can't, do Klopp t-shirts and fun stuff with him, because I think it would be super fun. But yeah, is that like a horrible answer to your question?
Well, I mean, it's not that horrible. But it's funny because, like, I read an article from Der Spiegel where in Germany, he's all over the place. And he's like their number one celebrity endorser in Germany, really? Right? Yeah. Okay. So, and because as you mentioned, he kind of transcends from us people that drink beer down here to the CEOs, where it's been mentioned many times that if he wasn't running a football club manager, he could be running a Fortune 500 company, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny that that he hasn't maybe branched out to the United States, right? One of the biggest marketing markets where he can, but is because I think he could transcend that. Yeah. But and with Nike coming on board, with Drake and Serena and LeBron, who's co-owner of Liverpool, that may change in the next few years.
Yeah. It's exciting. I mean, that's probably the buzzword now, right? It is just an exciting time to be a Liverpool fan and see what is coming next. Because for many years, it's not that it wasn't, it just was different, Right.
And does that hurt you guys that Nike, and I apologize for asking all these business questions.
No, you're fine.
But does that kind of throw a wrench in your business model where Nike has more distribution than New Balance had?
That's the big wow thing, because we don't know, how competitive is it? How difficult is it? And then you've got this nice little sprinkling of the pandemic to be like, let's make this difficult thing even more difficult. The hard part for me is, over the years, I've been very sort of bullish about everything. You can see the team progressing. You can see we're getting better. We can see we're on this thing. But but the shutdown was super duper hard. Nike's outlook, I have no idea what they're thinking, how it's going to change. It's one of two ways. Either we have too much stock and that's a problem to have, or we don't have enough, and then that's a much worse problem to have.
Right.
So we're just trying to walk that line. I think we're very grateful that they do their ordering a little different. So sometimes when we've missed the mark and not ordered enough or too many, we basically, that's it for the season, right? Like you put your order, you live with it. And Nike's a little bit more responsive to that. So, if we have a couple months where we can't get stock, hopefully around the corner, we should be able to fix that. Mm-hmm. But no, it's going to be a learning experience for us. We have no idea.
You referenced the coronavirus and the kind of the state of the economy. And I remember messaging you and James back in March before really the shutdowns, and you guys were very concerned about if the business can stay afloat even through this time. And I know that we try to get the word out to all the OLSCs to like, hey, whatever you can do, if you can order things for them. Now, have you weathered that storm? Do you have a positive outlook, or can you kind of give us an indication of what you guys' situation is right now, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So I'll write a book someday, and it'll be called #2Games.
And we'll order it. We'll have you back on to promote it.
No, when all of it happened, we shrunk massively. And what we looked at was, how we didn't think that the demand for Liverpool was going to be there. I mean, there was no product, right? Like, How do I continue to push jerseys for, people you're not going to see every weekend? So we pivoted to more local because, we saw a bunch of companies and local businesses that, just like us, had their world turned upside down. So we really started doing local fundraisers and trying to help out. So we actually have been able to give out to businesses in our community about $40,000, which, I mean, who would have thunk that was possible? So that helped us weather the storm of just, look, we're going to do stuff at cost, but at least we keep the machines going and we can try and give back. And then once the league comes back, then we'll be okay. So for the longest time, it was like, just hold on. I think the thing you'll see everybody who owns a small business is treading water, right? We're not going anywhere, but can you keep your head above it? I've said many years that giving somebody a job is the greatest thing I've ever done. And man, I tell you what, having to take them away is the worst. And so I think that probably motivated me to, hey, we've got to improve. We got to do better so that if we get another shutdown or whatever, that we don't have to be so concerned. But again, the club was fantastic. Everybody got this asteroid with it, just completely turning everything upside down. But I loved seeing, the OLSCs looking after their locals and doing fundraisers for them. I think if anybody can say they did it the right way, I think the Liverpool fan base did, where it wasn't, we're stuck, we can't do anything. I mean, everybody sort of mobilized of what can we do to help. And I think that's why this fan base is so incredible, because all we need is something to band together around, and we do it.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the great attributes of this club is that, the motto is you never walk alone. But I think, most everybody, they don't just see that as the initials. They see it as a way forward. And I know that everybody here in Austin, we've always, supported our pub. And I went down there to watch the game today. There was only 10 people there.
Oh, wow.
But so, and they're trying to stay open, and because they're running a business, and it's more than just me, but they employ people too. And I imagine the same thing up in Seattle and other places that have, big footy fans. And so it just takes everybody working together. But we appreciate that, because it's like Darren said earlier, it's like, you want to order things, but you want to support something that's here locally for us is the United States, obviously, right? So
no, but I mean, you're hitting the nail. Like it didn't make sense for us to push anything really, because it's like people were concerned about rent, people were concerned about losing their jobs, and so we very much wanted to read the room and be like, hey, Liverpool's going to come back. We know it's going to come back. Liverpool never does things the easy way anyway, so we're not going to win the title the easy way, but we got a little creative, we got a little resourceful, and we got to it. So glad they are back on the pitch for sure.
Yeah. All right, enough business stuff, Darren. Let's talk about footy and what's happening with Liverpool and what's going to be the future of this team.
2-0 today was good. I mean, the first 45 minutes was absolute crap. It was. Yeah. It was just, but you're watching that match. I knew we were going to win. Like, it's Villa. Like, I'm sorry, no disrespect, but it's Villa. They're bad. But Robbo still looks like he's on the ale. Like, seriously, like he was off the pace. I think he's just going to be pissed for the next 5 matches.
Yeah, we said that today. Me, Michael McCambridge, we were like the only 2 people there from supporting. We're like, I think he's still on the piss, man.
Mm-hmm. I think Trent had drank too much Lucasade or something. You're going to have off days, especially when you just won the league after 30-year wait. You're going to have a bit of a hangover, and and I love when they do the camera to Klopp. You can see how pissed off he is. He knows the boys can be playing a lot better.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, 2-0, we march on. I don't know if before this, I just checked the City score.
Josh is watching it out there. I saw the 1-0.
What a goal from 40 yards.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know the score. Hopefully Southampton are still beating them.
Yeah.
Let me look it up. I gotta see.
But credit to Curtis Jones coming in and scoring a goal, and
that was a good goal too. I mean, that was a team goal, just like Mane's was a team goal.
I mean, Salah
still wins it.
Yeah, so Salah, putting the ball down to Jones, and it just shows you the confidence that the star players have in the youth, and it just bodes well for the future. That last game, Nico came in and put in a good shift, right? And then, today Curtis Jones coming in, and then performing, and it was so audacious. The first time he had the ball, he had the cheeky back heel to himself, and then took a shot with his off foot. It just shows you the confidence that these young players have, because every practice they're going against these guys, and that kind of comes back to the interview with Klopp about he didn't know that people had to have 5 appearances to get a premiership medal, right? And then he's like, well, everybody should get a medal because we practice against these people every day. They're just as integral to the process as our players are.
He gets me confused though, because I read the interview. Also, he said, but he doesn't want to give medals away like a Christmas present.
Exactly.
Appearances. So I'm like, all right, so you want them to get a medal, but then you don't want to give them away. So, yeah, it's confusing, but Klopp confuses me quite a few times, but I still love him. He's just brilliant. But no, that's the great thing about this team. I still think we can get a lot better. Obviously we can. I still think we need at least 3 players coming in, to be honest.
All right, what positions?
Forward, definitely.
Okay.
Because I think Origi's, to me, Origi's done. He's scored some great goals, don't get me wrong, but he's just not for me. Like today, he really didn't do anything. Mane and Mo seem to, like, they're quick and they work really hard. Origi just seems to just kind of glide across the pitch and not do too much. Defo, another left back. because Milner can't be. You can't. God bless him. I love Milner. Hopefully he continues to play. But Premier League is probably one of the fastest leagues in the world. You put Milner at left back. If Robbo gets injured for X amount of games, Milner's not going to have that pace. I don't think Klopp trusts Larouci. Or Larouci would have been in the the squad. And then also maybe a creative midfielder. For the tight games that we've had. I wouldn't touch the centre backs. I think Gomez and Virgil are good enough. Everybody's going on like we should buy Kabuli, but again, a 29-year-old for like Roma are asking 60, 70 mil. That's just especially with the pandemic as well. That's insanity. Let City buy Kabuli. Why not? Which they probably will. It depends. When's that coming up? July 8th, right? Their ban.
Yeah.
The yes or no.
Yeah.
On the ban.
This week.
So we'll see, because there'll be an exodus from City if they're banned for 2 years.
Well, if Bournemouth goes down, you have Ake, who you can get as a fourth defender, right, for on the cheap.
Yeah.
Who's played at Chelsea, who has Premier League experience, probably going to cost £50 million. That can play 10, 15 games. Yeah. That'd be the way to go, in my opinion. But I'm not Klopp, so hey, Klopp, go win us some more trophies.
We're all armchair managers, we are.
That's right.
We make fun of like some of the people. Like I read on some of the groups just have these crazy ideas. Let's put Trent in midfield, and then all this, and I'm just like, just let Klopp decide. It's probably best, because I'm the same. I'll watch the game. I'll be like, what are you doing? Klopp, bring this up, lad on, and then he doesn't, and then he brings somebody else on, and they either score or help, assist or defend, and then you're like, yeah, you're right, Klopp. You're right.
So you do like a little tally, like, all right, Klopp gets another one.
That's right. Yeah.
Darren gets 0 again.
Alicia, where does your official supporters club watch the matches there?
LFC Seattle has 2. They do St. Andrews, which is kind of in the north part of the city, and then Doyle's Pub in Tacoma.
Okay.
So they got 2 great spots.
And how is the fan base in Seattle?
They're awesome. They're awesome. Let's see, who do I say hi to? Jeff, all those guys. No, the problem for us is, we've got the little youngsters, and then Josh has been deployed a lot over the year. So it's about an hour ferry ride to get over to Seattle to watch them. So it's early mornings, being West Coast. So we normally just put on our kit and watch from the couch.
Yeah.
But we love going over there. We've done a couple little pop-up shops and make jerseys and stuff like that. So
yeah, the last time I was in Seattle, I had to watch it at Fido's, which
really?
a long time ago. And I don't think there was an official supporters club at that point. But when you have a 6:30 match and it's 4:30 there, it takes some effort to get to the pub. And I think that a friend, because I was there with 4 friends, so I think we were just coming in from partying, and then I just went straight there to the Fido's. But it's
impressive that you remember all this.
Well, there's other stories that I can't really say.
Oh, okay.
But it's it's funny because when you talk to people from England, they don't realize. Sometimes I don't think they realize the efforts that the American fans really go to watch Liverpool. For us to even go to Anfield is a process, right? You're paying $600, $700 to fly. You're paying a couple $100 for the tickets, and then hotels and things like that. And so that's always been one of the running, I don't want to say arguments, but kind of discussions where, hey, we wish we lived in Liverpool, but we don't. Yeah. We live here in the United States. We live on the West Coast. We're up at 4:30 in the morning. So give us some credit for being a supporter, right? So
It's hard. I mean, those are probably the one parts that, how fan are you, is always tough being international. But I think, and I've told the club the experience is so different. You think like football is an afternoon tailgating thing, whereas this is the breakfast club. Like to be a Liverpool fan in the States is, who do you want to have breakfast with on the weekends? Because that's who you're getting together with. And I think that's probably my favorite Anfield box was the one we did that was sort of breakfast themed and in a cereal box and all that stuff.
So I don't know about these boxes.
You got to know about them.
So it's offline right now, so you're not missing out on anything. But we did 15 releases of sort of special merch that some things you could get, some things you couldn't, but over the course of running the shop for the last decade, I called in like every favor I could. We had Jordan Henderson sign some prints for people. It was super awesome. Probably my coolest moment I ever had as a fan. We were looking for memorabilia, and I collect match worn shirts. Like I love stuff like that. It's kind of weird. But I said, what happens to the nets at the end of the season? And they said, we just give them to the academy, new nets at Anfield every season. I said, can I buy one? And I want to chop it into 500 pieces, put it in a frame. And, there's a piece of Anfield to you, right? Because it's like you said, we can't be there. What can we do to get a little piece there? And we did it. And the club shop started selling them too. So I thought I got a kick out of that. Like, that was a good idea.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so I've got a little bit left because I think we didn't use all of it. So it's just in my garage of like framed or just a little bag of Anfield net.
Oh, wow. It's been very interesting because like the proliferation of OLSCs here in the last, say, 5 or 6 years, right? Because our club was 2013. And, and we always think that we're one of the better clubs. We bring legends in every year and things like that. But I know every club has their own appeal. So how have you seen that in the last few years, the amount of OLSCs? Because you guys do custom stuff for the clubs too. So
yeah, it's been weird because there were some seasons where it was like if you wanted to be an OLSC, you couldn't.
Right.
It was closed and then it reopened. Our license gives us the ability to sort of, make stuff. Our goal, we have to drive revenue for the club. We do official merch. The club gets the money. That's kind of what retail side is. It's a little uncertain right now because dog's barking. Because it's gotten so big so fast that I think there's a lot of people, what's the best way to do this? How do we do right by the club and the fans and all that? So a lot of changes coming with merch with that. I love that the legends are coming over because I think, some of the stories haven't been told. I had no idea about, who is it, David Fairclough, super sub?
David Fairclough, we had him at our club.
Did you? Okay, yeah. Like I met him and, I asked him, what, do you like the nickname super sub? And he said, I hated it until, sort of wear it as a badge of honor. But, I think the real Liverpool fans know that as great as this success is, there's so much more and so many great players and stories. And, anytime we went back for the Istanbul reunion, I brought my son. And so, to see Louis Garcia, to see all those guys back together and still. Was
that 2015?
Yes.
Yes, I was there.
Were you there?
Yeah.
Oh, why did we hang out?
I don't know. I was drunk.
I had a 6-year-old with me, so I wasn't exactly like, doing the hub run. But I had to be back there, man. As big as 2005 was, it was like, because was there a Legends match that weekend too?
Yes, I played in that Legends game.
Did you really?
Yes. So that was so that was a great weekend, so just going back is like, I think these legends now, they're like, what a new market we have in the United States, because we're one of the few clubs that, we've had David Fairclough, we have Ronnie Whelan, Stephen Nicol, we had John Barnes last year. Who else have we
Gary
had?
Gillespie.
Gary Gillespie, Alan Kennedy. We've had Bruce Grobbelaar.
Nice.
So I mean, so we were like one of the few clubs that has had somebody every single year come over. But I think the legends now, they're like, hey, this is new for us. Let's go and go to these different clubs, and we have an atmosphere. And so I think it's just between you and then the club itself and all the supporters club is just creating this atmosphere where, you know, Liverpool is taking over social media, right? We're the number one social media presence as far as football clubs. So I can only see it just even getting more popular as, you know, as Klopp stays and we win trophies and you guys are building your brand too. It's awesome.
Yeah, there's going to be after this season so many new American Liverpool fans. Like, definitely, you know. So I'm sure, you know, your orders are going to be flying out the shop. You know,
it's a good problem to have.
It is.
I mean, yeah.
When's your next box coming out? Do you know?
So here's the dirty little secret of the box. Like,
okay, no one listens to this podcast, so it's between us three.
we have we've never broke even on them. Like they have always cost more to make than, and so for me as a fan, I don't care. Like I would rather everybody get cool stuff, but our finance manager is like, hey, like you've got to at least break even. So we took it offline to kind of retool it. I think the biggest challenge that we had was doing so many. You know, every quarter was a lot. So we've had a lot of people reach out, especially since they won the Premier League, and be like, you got to do one. You got to do one for the Premier League. So tentatively, and if anybody from my shop is listening, they're probably going to smack me at work.
They better be after today.
Christmas. I'm thinking Christmas, we're going to do kind of a special one, and we probably won't break even, but you know, Premier League champions, like why not go all out and do something cool? But oh man, it just, to see people posting the stuff and wearing the stuff, because I get some of the bad part, right? It's like I get this isn't worth the money, and it's like, I promise you it is, because I spent all of it on the stuff.
Right.
But the biggest challenge is heavy. Like they're all so heavy that, you know, you pay $75 for a box, 25 of it is in shipping, and you don't have a lot left. But from a fan perspective, it is the coolest thing to do. But from a purely business, it is not.
Speaking of fan perspective, who's your favorite player, Alisha?
Oh, it's Stevie. It's always been Stevie. Jamie's probably a close second, just because of the amount of work that he's done in the community and for kids who need some help has been phenomenal. But we got invited on the first Fenway tour to some reception upstairs in Fenway, and it was like we had our 6-month-old who's now 8, and they were signing autographs.
Was that Roma?
Yeah. I think they've always been Roma at Fenway. Like that's
this last season was Portuguese team with Bruno Fernandes.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like there was Stevie over the corner, and I was so starstruck, embarrassed. I was like, Josh, go ask him, because Miles was wearing like a little kit and everything, and I was like, go ask him to sign. Like, I'm not going to go do that, you know. I was like, go do it. If you love me, you'll do it. So my poor husband had to go over with my son and be like, can you sign my baby? But we've got the jersey hanging on the wall. I mean, to me, much like Stevie was leadership, right? He was the guy who was like, I don't care what the chips are. I don't care how many goals. Like, I'm going to give everything I got. And that to me is the epitome of, you know, what we want out of our players. Just give everything you got.
That's like, to me, you know, Jordan's doing the same thing Stevie.
He is.
You know, without obviously scoring all those goals. But nobody will be another Stevie at Liverpool.
Yeah.
And that must have been hard for Jordan as well to try and fill, you know, because everybody, you know, Stevie's an idol to everyone. You know, to me, looking up at Stevie, you're just like, you're starstruck. You're just like, you are everything that Liverpool Football Club is all about. But now we can say Jordan Henderson is everything you want in a captain, a player, you know. So the tide has turned for me. I mean, Stevie's always up there for me, but Jordan's like, you know, I just after the Champions League final when we won it, when he went over to his dad, I just, you know, tears were just flowing from me, because you think of your own family as well, you know, and what his dad went through with the cancer and everything. So you're just like, oh man, I hope he's captain for, you know, because he's 30 now. You know,
is he getting up there?
Yeah, I think he's.
Wow.
On.
I just remember him being the young little kid with, you know, when he signed. Gosh.
Yeah, you know, that's so interesting, Daz, because, you know, for the longest time it's been Steven Gerrard, the captain, and really a lot of people didn't give Jordan Henderson his due, right? But now it's like just like yourself. Now that, you know, Jordan Henderson has delivered a Champions League, the Club World Cup, and now the league. He's, you know, will never have the player stats that Gerrard has, right? But in a lot of people's minds, it has closed the gap, which is, to me, from like looking back from a global view, it's very interesting to me to see how that starts coming together, where, you know, the Steven Gerrard people, Jordan Henderson, or the team people, they start coming towards the center, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this season, you know, even last season, he got so much, you know, flack from people, because again, you know, what we see on the telly is not everything that we see Jordan do, you know. So if people would just see him jog, you know, one way and go, he's not even trying. That man covers so much of the pitch that we don't even know about, you know. Yeah. So, like, fair play to him. He deserves, like, every accolade. I hope he gets player of the season. I really do. Yeah. You know, because the only other person I would think is De Bruyne, right?
Yeah.
De Bruyne didn't win a Premier League.
Yeah.
De Bruyne didn't win a Champions League. De Bruyne didn't win the Super Cup. De Bruyne didn't win the World Club trophy. So
that's true.
Henderson's got my vote. We do. We support the best team in the world.
Yeah.
Even when we're crap.
But, you know, it's so funny.
I do.
But, you know, saying that, it's easy to love this team. There's not really the off the field stuff that a lot of teams have to go through. You know, they're very community oriented. Yeah. I think the leadership from the very top has a very structured mindset where they're incorporating the social media, the team itself, the business aspect of it, you know, the merchandising all the way down, even, you know, including the Anfield Shop, is how they have a structure. And I don't, you know, and like I mentioned before, it's like very interesting to me that the business side is like they seem to run it a little bit differently. And maybe I'm a little biased because, you know, I'm in this versus what I see, but I don't really see a lot of that with the other clubs, even, you know, with the bigger clubs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're a very savvy retail team. I mean, they've brought on some people who are so good at their job and who get it. So, you know, it's a great time, especially from a retail perspective, to see the amount of new merch coming and new things they're going to do. There's a conference a couple times a year where they kind of talk about this is where we're going, and it's phenomenal. I mean, there's a lot of great stuff coming through. Snoods are coming in the fall, so everybody can stop emailing us about snoods. I swear if we had a drinking game for snoods, it would have been over a long time ago.
You know, if you had snoods, if they would have let you guys, let me rephrase that. If they would have allowed you to have snoods earlier, you know, it would have been...
You guys would have been all ready for the pandemic, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of snoods, Do you have any other things that have coming online that you would not necessarily be able to get from the Liverpool store? I know that sometimes you guys do customize. One of the things I wanted to point out that I just found out is that you guys are now, if somebody ships you a shirt or kit,
Yes.
you will put numbers and names on it, where
Yes.
you guys didn't do that before. That's a recent addition, I think.
We've done it. We've done it always because we've had the custom shop. It's been so hard with supply, where a fan would send us something and, for whatever reason, all of a sudden it took a month to get stuff. But, there's so many, new licensees coming in, old licensing going out. So it's a little bit of a merry-go-round in terms of supply sometimes. But especially with the Club World Cup, I mean, to be able to get those gold badges, I mean, I never in my lifetime thought we'd be putting the Club World Cup badge, just because it was such, think of what you have to go through to even get there to that tournament. And then, any fan who has stuff, Premier League lettering, we can personalize anything. It has changed over the years. We've gone from the felt stuff to more of the plastic stuff. So if you want it to be in spec, definitely has to be one of the more newer stuff. But yeah, anybody who wants, because a lot of fans, I think, especially nowadays, will buy the jersey blank at the beginning of the season and then kind of see who their favorite is and then badge it up at the end. So yeah, we're all here for that.
You'd have like 10 different players on the back with a crossed mark on it.
You had mentioned that 47, the company 47 is based out of Boston, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I would assume that they're going to continue the relationship with you guys or with Liverpool moving forward. Does that have anything to do with the New Balance relationship or no?
So it's I don't know for sure, but the line in the thing is whoever is on pitch is on pitch. So that's why you'll see, wherever Klopp's on the pitch, he'll be wearing a New Balance hat, probably going to a Nike hat. And then all the off pitch is 47. I don't know what the status of their deal is. I do know that they had or still have worldwide. So if it's a Liverpool hat, it's going to be made by 47. That's their license. And the stuff that they're doing is phenomenal. Probably the only thing that product isn't out that a lot of fans are asking for is the kind of the Peaky Blinders style caps, just kind of those. Sorry. Did they win?
Yeah.
Okay. City lost.
Yeah.
Was it 1-0?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just that result. I hate to get off the business stuff because I love the business stuff, but it just shows you again how difficult this league is that Chelsea could beat Man City beats us, and then they lose today, right? And it just shows you the levels that you need every single weekend and the consistency that is needed for us to be 23 points up. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I don't think people give the credit because, of course, there's anti-Liverpool people all over the world, right? Especially in England. But they don't seem to appreciate the consistency that it takes to only lose 2 games in a season. Yep. Last year, 1 game in the season, right? Mm-hmm. And they just overlook it, and it's just...
Well, we
irritates me.
Well, we lost to City. It wasn't the best of showings, but we just won the league. So obviously our form was going to drop. City made 6 changes today, but their 6 changes, is just like their second team. Compared to like our subs. You look at City's bench, then you look at our bench. Mm-hmm. You can't even really compare it because they've got at least 3-4 players on their bench that are world class. We've got good players on the bench. I wouldn't call them world class, but good players. So yeah, I mean, we'll all look back at this season, and I won't even remember us losing 4-0 to City. But I'll remember Southampton beating City. You know what I mean? Like, especially with that 40-yard goal, that's probably going to be goal of the season. That's another little, nail in the coffin for City. So I could care less. I think that's brilliant.
So that's 9 games they've lost.
Yeah.
I mean, just put that in perspective, right?
9.
So a team that is last season got to 97 points, right? To lose 9 games this season, you can't just chalk it up to one player, because when you're spending $500 million in transfer fees, you don't have any excuses.
No.
Yeah.
So the perspective is that we've been consistent for over almost a 2.5 year period since Van Dijk came, right? We've been very consistent, and that I think after Robbo gets the ale out of his system, we go
I think he's also got a newborn, right? Like he might have the sleepless nights thing going on too a little bit.
Drinking more.
But so I mean, you can't put it past these guys for knowing next season with Manchester United strengthening, Chelsea will be stronger, Man City will be there, us that.
But that's
they'll
what
be
you
focused.
That's what you expect, though, Steve,
right?
You know, and Alisha. You expect to have. Well, I mean, this season, you know, Spurs were supposed to challenge.
Yeah.
Right. Arsenal were supposed to challenge, didn't. Chelsea, you know, United, But it just depends, you know. You got to get those run of games and keep it going. Like City lost Laporte, right? That shouldn't have really stopped City, but it did, because they never replaced Company. You know, our lads for the last 2 seasons, you know, we brought in Minamino in a January transfer, and he's not really played. So it's been the same squad for the last 2 seasons. It's just like a band of brothers, you know. They help each other out, and that's why we're champions, you know. And now you look at the goal difference now. We're only 1 behind City, and they just put 4 past us. You know, it's a crazy league, but you know, like we're just the best team in the world. That's all. You know?
That's all.
Not just in England, the best team in the world. I don't care if we're not going to be in the Champions League final this year.
Yeah, but Alisha has the patch to prove it. Yeah, patches.
I know. You know where to find me.
Got them all. Yeah, I just sent off for the Liverpool Echo, the champions.
Oh, the paper,
which is really good, and I've got all the programs coming.
Nice.
Which is really nice. So I'm really looking forward to that as well.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just something that's going to go up on the wall, framed and stuff.
I've got the last we did. I had to, again, call in favors for the Barcelona program. I don't know if you saw it. It was this beautiful, like, mosaic of the Champions League trophy. So I was like, that's a poster for the wall to remember that one.
Mm-hmm. I've even got the Atletico one coming as well.
Oh, nice.
You know, just to have. Oh, well. You know, can't be in the final 3 years in a row, I guess. Gotta let somebody else have it. It would have been nice to be back there. It would have been nice if they canceled it and then we just keep the trophy. I mean, that's what I would have taken that too. That's what we talk about. You know, you had all the null and voiders. You know, why don't they null and void the Champions League then? It's because these teams are still in it. Why don't you null and void Europa League like Man United are in? You know, they're just sad people. That's all. Yeah. You know, because they know we are back on the perch. Yeah. And we're looking down at everyone. You know, so even it must have been really hard for Gary Neville to actually say those words. You know, that Klopp has made, you know, a 30 million signing, 130, and these other teams have made 130 million signing, a 30 million player. But yeah, I love it because, you know, I love the banter between him and Cara. It just works, you know, because they're both very good at banter. But, you know, for Neville to go, well played, Liverpool, you know, that's when you know you've done all right. Right? You know, even Keane, Roy Keane was like, you know, Liverpool just... that's what every team wants to look for, you know, how we play. Yes, City probably play more possession football, you know, but we just go for the jugular, So
it's pretty sad when we have more respect right now for Roy Keane and Gary Neville than we do for Danny Murphy, right?
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't understand that soundbite.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that one at all.
Maybe he was drunk.
Okay.
That's all I can think of. Like, that's a weird one, but like...
He came out and apologized, didn't he? Didn't he say something? Okay.
Well, after he got the shit taken out of him.
Well, I mean, come on. FSG have also done some things, and they've come out and apologized. So you got to, sometimes, words come out and brain doesn't, attach itself to the mouth.
Yeah, that's true.
We all know about that, Steve. So
I know, that's why we edit these after we tape.
Oh, nice.
This one, I don't think this one will get edited too much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a brilliant guest.
No,
Hey.
Well, sometimes we can talk for like 3-4 hours,
Nice.
literally, and obviously, we don't want to bore the listener of 3-4 hours of us just going on and on and on, because we don't like to say goodbye to people for some reason, do we, Steve?
No.
Too much fun.
Yeah, because our last guest, Amani, I think we said goodbye like 3 or 4 times, and then something else came up, and we just kept going with it. So yeah, we like to hold on.
So let's see your shirt. What shirt do you have on?
This was one of the player tees from way back when. I think I've got Alex Chamberlain on the back. So
nice.
I liked him as a signing. I thought he would be very good and very just sort of fun to have in the squad. And I think from everything I've seen on social, he just seems like a really fun, positive guy.
He does. I mean, he didn't have his best game today, but we've seen him play better. And as I think going into the next season, he'll definitely be an important part of the program.
Well, a run of games, just like Keita, same thing. He needs a run of games. And I think with Klopp still doesn't have, I think the favourite 3 for me are Gini, Fabinho and Hendo in the midfield.
Yes.
But, with Keita and with Curtis now, and, you can swap straight away and we're still just as good. So I'm loving it. I am. Waited 30 years for this. Like I was 19 when we won it.
And he had gray hair in his beard back then, even.
No, this is all kids. This is kids. Yeah. No, and I just didn't think when I was 19 I would have to wait 30 years.
Yeah.
I just didn't, because we were on the pinnacle back then, and it just, I think the managers we went through, kind of Souness, the Roys of this world, didn't help, and even Kenny, probably should have stayed away. I hate to say that, because
now what? Just because more of a modern game than what he used to do, or
I think so. And you could tell it took its toll on him. I mean, obviously, it's not tarnished his name, because he still is the king. I was super glad they got him the stand renamed after him. I thought that was well deserved. And like you said, you're starstruck by Stevie. I'm starstruck by Kenny. I wouldn't know what to say to him. I wouldn't. The words just wouldn't come out. Because his son actually used to manage Houston.
Yeah, he was. I remember that. Paul.
He used to manage Austin.
That's right. And then he was in Ottawa
Aztecs,
for a while.
Right? They went. He managed in Austin. Then they moved to Florida.
Okay. Was it Rowdies that they were with in Florida? I've been trying to watch him and where he ends up. I'll never forget reading Kenny's book where he talked about what his proudest achievement was. And he said it was seeing Paul lift the MLS Cup, which I thought, you've been a player, you've been a player manager, you've been a manager. But I think, that just shows the guy he is, that, to see his son reach the pinnacle of his stuff.
It's funny because, and then you see his emotions when Jurgen was getting interviewed, right?
Yeah.
and you're getting crying, and then Kenny's saying you're too humble. You need to take credit for this, and then having the emotions. It's like and so I was asked by an author that we have coming up here in a couple months, like, what does this mean for the U.S. based fan? I'm like, what it means for me personally is like it bridges that gap from people that knew the club in the 80s that had their last championship. Now we have a championship now. And because if you remember, back in the 80s, there wasn't football on TV here in the United States.
Right.
So what it does is just links us. Now we all have something in common. We've had other trophies. We've never been league champions together. But now the Americans and the British people, we can say we're league champions. Mm-hmm. And it's like brought us together and just strengthens the ties that we have and the expats that have lived here. That we use, like Darren's like, hey, I was there when we
now we have history.
Never experienced being a champion, right? A league champion. But now we can. Now we have even a closer tie together, and it's been amazing.
Yeah, we have history now. Together.
Yeah.
Right. We watched them win the European Cup together. We've watched them win the league together. It just can only get better. I wish every American fan could actually go to Anfield. I really do, because there's absolutely nothing like it. Just going down the pub, for a couple of bevs before the match, then walking up to Anfield is just. I've said it many times. It still, makes my hair stand up, because it brings back, memories as a kid and my granddad taking me and everything. So, yeah.
So, how old were you when you saw your first match at Anfield?
6 or 7.
Oh wow!
And that's when they were standing. My granddad would put me on his shoulders.
Wow!
Because it would be a massive push. If Liverpool were about to score, there would be a massive push all the way down, and then they used to have these standing bars. So if you're up against that bar, and you're getting pushed all the way down the Kop, it hurts. So he would put me on his shoulders, and then if he went to the toilet, he'd pass me to the next fella, and I'd just like see the match like that. And when my granddad came back, he'd pass me back.
So whose shoulders were you on by the end of the match?
I'd be back on my granddad's shoulders by the end of the match. That I'd probably get passed around about 6-7 times.
He'd be in the boot room by the end of the day.
Yeah, it's just those memories that are just the greatest,
That's awesome.
It's just,
Yeah, if you can't get to Anfield, get to the Anfield Shop in Seattle.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm excited to see if they do anything with like VR, right? I think you're starting to see it, like the NBA is maybe leading the way a little bit, and just like courtside, just see, because that's, I think, my biggest gripe watching TV is like, I want to, the camera pans here. I want to see what Trent's doing, because I want to see what he's, I want the whole thing. But I think it'd be very exciting in sports, especially with the pandemic, to kind of see what new tech comes to sort of improve the experience.
Well, in the NFL, they have the cameras like isolated on one player. So it'd be very interesting, like you said, that it's like, hey, let me get on my iPad. I'm a center back in my league. I want to watch what Van Dijk does. Right, so I click on him, or I'm a forward. I want to click on the movement of Firmino. I think that might be a way that it progresses eventually, right?
I remember Stevie said that.
You guys do it.
I remember Stevie said that in his book, like that his dad took him to a match and was like, "Don't watch the ball. Watch your position and see how it goes." Mm-hmm. But
I think with this pandemic as well, watching the match with no fans, it's a different experience, because when I watch it, I don't look at the stands, and when it's filled with fans, you do watch the fans rather than the match sometimes, especially the cameras as well, they pan to the fans, and you're going, there's a match on, so this has made me kind of put the blinders on and actually watch the game,
There you go.
So I think I guess that's the only good thing for me that's come out. Well, no, there's two good things as well. We have more listeners because of the pandemic, which is kind of,
There you go.
know, it's good and bad. Obviously, it's a horrible thing because, you know, Texas is in it's gone, you know, gone down again, which is just awful.
Now, are you guys on lockdown again, or what is Texas doing?
Not yet, but all the pubs and bars they're supposed to be closed. So how did you go to the pub yesterday?
No, they're not. Everybody's on mandatory masks.
Okay.
I thought they closed the bars.
Well, it's a restaurant, so it's different rules for restaurants than a bar, right? So
there's a piece of toast and a pint.
I had an English breakfast, by the way. So, but yeah, so it's a little different. But you know, we'll get through this, and it'll happen.
Well, it's, you know, I just can't believe it's taken this long for, you know, the governor to actually say mandatory masks. You know, because I've got 4 little ones too that have, you know, breathing issues. Why wouldn't you wear a mask? Like, if you don't care about yourself, like, care about somebody that you know. Like, I just don't understand. I just don't. You know, we're all human beings and we should all care about each other. That's, again, this harks back to, like, Liverpool fans. Like, we care a lot about one another. We do. Like, if I saw, you know, a Liverpool fan who's in distress, go help him. You know, we are a good community about that. And, you know, like you said, Steve, you'll never walk alone actually does mean something, you know, to all of us in different ways. But, yeah, we'll all get through this, and, you know, the sun will shine again. So the shop will open.
Shop will open, yep.
So everybody listening, that's the website. Fill those orders up.
Website's up. Yeah, hopefully. Yeah. I just wish I knew when the bottom, like when does life get back to normal? Is it another 6 months of this? Is it a year of this? That's the part that.
Good question.
Yeah.
Well, England, I think they're about to go downhill again because they just opened all the pubs up.
Oh, really?
And there's no mask wearing at all. That's. I mean, you know, Britain is a pub culture, you know, and my sister, you know, was telling me yesterday. She said everybody's looking at her weird. She's wearing a mask, but she works in healthcare, and she tries to tell these people, like, just wear a mask. Like, that's all you have to do, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's this is my, you know, freedom.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, here we go.
Well, you know, so it's kind of interesting because like today on the Kiss they had NHS on their a patch, right? To just bring in that the type of narrative that, hey, these people are out there for you, help us.
Yeah.
But there's a disconnect. And there's a disconnect here. There's a disconnect in the UK. Not everywhere, obviously, but I mean, let's just hope we get through it, and that the businesses that are out there trying to survive, because it's a difficult time. We should, you know, if you're not going to go out and spend your money, hopefully if you're still able to, you know, contribute and buy things online or buy gift cards and help people out that are still having to try to feed their families.
Yeah.
So, hate to be a downer, but, you know, it's a realistic
well done, Steve.
part of it. Thank you. Okay, cheers to that.
Cheers. I'm all out.
Yeah, I'm all out of me water, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do these podcasts with you guys that don't drink. Sorry.
Because of the young kids, you know. I mean, I'd like to, but, you know.
Hey, no worries.
It's only 3 o'clock here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Alicia,
maybe one tonight.
Yeah. It's it's been so great for you to come onto the show with us. And
No, thanks for having me.
we've been talking about it, and you've been on other podcasts around the country, and whatever that we can do and other OLCs can do to keep you guys going. And you guys have been, like I mentioned before, you guys have been such a great supporter of us at the club, the supporters club level, that, we want to see you guys get on the other end of this. And we're looking forward to the next box set, because Darren, I guarantee, is going to get that one.
I think so.
Well, now
that
I know about it, then I want one.
Yeah. No, if I were to say anything, it's, obviously everybody stay safe, because this is difficult for everybody, but it's shop local. Like, Anfield Shop should not be where, like, your local business, wherever you are in the world, everybody is struggling as a small business. So shop small. Yeah. I mean, I get it. We got Nike coming around the corner. So if everybody's waiting to buy jerseys, we'll be all ready to go. We'll have those nice gold patches for the sleeves at the ready. But mainly it's just feedback. What are we doing that you like? What are we doing that you don't? We're here for the fans. So if there's something that we need to stock or we need to improve,
Bucket hats.
Well, Darren wants the Longsdales.
we had them, because obviously it's a thing, and they didn't sell at all.
Really?
No.
I love my bucket hats.
I know. I'll see if I can bring them back. The problem is 47's minimums are like 144. So it's like you got to find 143 friends to go in with you.
All right.
I think the problem
message me, and I'll get 144 people.
Okay.
You bring a design to us.
With the bucket hats, though, especially on the Liverpool one, it's just one size. So then I've got a small head, so they're massive on me.
No, you don't.
Look, yeah. Believe me, when I put that on my head, it's like I'm wearing a raincoat. Looks ridiculous. Yeah, it's like down here. But yeah, no, I love them just because, in the 70s and 80s,
That's what I mean. It was a thing.
Hats.
Yeah.
But everybody, I think, over here mostly likes the woolly hats, right?
Hey, if you can get Klopp to wear a bucket hat, I'm sure that we'll get all the phone calls.
That's right.
Oh man, that would be brilliant.
All right. So after the show, I'm working on 145 people.
Yep.
You get the design to me, and I'll make sure it happens.
You're on.
There you go.
Well, thank you so much, Alisha.
Yeah, thank you guys.
I really, really do appreciate you, taking an hour and a half of your time, and
sure.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. And again, everyone listening, just stay safe, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good rest of your weekend.
You too.
You too.
Cheers.